Welcome to the latest brand new Mandela Effects video. Today we're covering everything from music and movies to sweet treats and video games. But first we've got to talk about a recent Mandela Effect April Fool's prank that has everyone talking. So stick around until the very end so you don't miss a single thing. April Fool's Day is an annual tradition of playing practical jokes and hoaxes on April 1st. Well, this year the underwear and t-shirt brand Fruit of the Loom played a fantastic prank. The Mandela effect surrounding Fruit of the Loom is in regards to its artwork. It's a pile of fruit, but what so many people remember was the cornucopia behind the fruit, as though the fruit had spilled out of the cornucopia. Fruit of the Loom has always denied this, and they've said it's never existed, but so many people remember this missing cornucopia, myself included. So for April Fools, Fruit of the Loom updated its logo to include the missing cornucopia all over its website. Take a look at it. It's weird, it looks strangely familiar to so many of us. Obviously this is a wink and a nod to fans of the Mandela Effect, and it's a pretty good April Fool's Day prank. But it's still so weird because so many people remember this logo with a cornucopia. So what do you think of this prank? Is it a gaslighting attempt to make you all feel crazy, or is this just all in good fun? I'm curious to hear your take on it. Sweet dreams. Recently on the television show Wheel of Fortune, a contestant had to solve a puzzle for a song lyric. Sweet dreams are made of blank. The contestant got it wrong and lost a potential $4,000 extra in winnings, but luckily went on to still win the episode. What was his answer? He said, "Sweet dreams are made of these." The correct answer is apparently sweet dreams are made of this. The lyrics come from a famous 1983 Eurythmics song titled Sweet Dreams. This caused a ton of confusion online, leading to multiple articles being written about not just this contestant losing, but also about how this lyric has been misheard for decades. That detail right there is what really interests me. The articles written didn't solely exist to make fun of the guy for saying the obviously wrong word in the puzzle. It's that even the writers of the article thought it was, "Sweet dreams are made of these." Once I read a few of these articles, I couldn't stop researching this. How is it that so many people could have misheard this song lyric for so many years? And it begs the question, is it really as simple as everyone is misremembering the lyrics, or is this a Mandela effect? I'm curious to hear what you all remember. In the song by the Eurythmics, the way this is said is extremely exaggerated, so perhaps that exaggeration is the cause of all this confusion. But I read multiple comments of people saying that these sounds better than this, especially with the flow of the song and the rhyming of the song. So what do you think about this? One of these articles that I read, the top comment underneath it was, "Sweet dreams are made of this? I was today years old when I learned that these isn't the correct lyric." One last detail I bring up about this is the Marilyn Manson cover of this song, where the debate continues to rage. So I gave the song a listen with headphones on, and it does sound like these, but the lyrics for it say this. It's just weird. Is this all misremembering or mishearing, or has something actually changed? Let me hear it in the comments. The bucket list. Here is a mind-blowing Mandela effect that is confusing and disturbing everyone. It's the phrase, the bucket list, a widely known phrase that refers to a list of things someone wants to do before they die. Maybe on your bucket list you have skydiving, or getting married, or traveling around the world. It's a super common phrase that has been around for a long time, but what if it hasn't? When do you think the phrase, the bucket list, was first used? Just blurt out a time period. Was it the 1930s, the 40s, the 70s? It seems like everyone has a different opinion, but all the opinions are that this phrase has existed for quite a while. But it turns out this phrase didn't exist in the public eye until 2007, with the release of the movie The Bucket List starring Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. Did this phrase simply come into existence with the release of that movie, and now its simple origin has been long forgotten? Or was this phrase always around? I want to hear your memories and thoughts on this. I personally feel crazy because I made one of these lists years and years ago. Not only that, I used to work at Blockbuster back then, during this time period. I can visualize it in my mind. I remember stacking DVDs of The Bucket List on a side shelf. Apparently the screenwriter for this movie, Justin Zackham, had an idea for a list of things to do before I kick the bucket back in 1999 and decided to shorten it to The Bucket List. This idea went on to become the plot of his 2007 movie script, The Bucket List. People have been digging for evidence that this phrase existed before 2007, and nothing has been found. Nothing. In fact, Justin Zackham said in an interview, the film's release brought the phrase into common parlance, and as a testament to how natural and idiomatic it sounds, many people assume that the term must have long predated the movie. So even Justin Zackham, the writer of The Bucket List, believes that he created the term bucket list and that it didn't exist beforehand. So what do you believe? Is he correct? Did he come up with this phrase, or did it exist previous to that? Was the bucket list always a phrase? This one honestly has me scratching my head. I could have sworn this existed before that movie, but maybe we're all just wrong, or maybe this is a Mandela effect. Another fun detail I caught on to while doing research for this particular segment, the term catfishing, as in someone who pretends to be someone that they're not on social media. Turns out that did not exist prior to the 2010 documentary Catfish. It simply didn't exist in that context until then. I'm not saying that's a Mandela effect, but I found it pretty interesting and I thought you would too. So let me hear all your thoughts on this in the comments below. Boots Popsicle. Here's a fun one. Remember those character popsicles you probably enjoyed as a kid? Those unfortunately misaligned and melted faces, gumball eyes in the wrong location, details slightly or dramatically off. It was a good time in retrospect. You wanted a Spider-Man popsicle or a SpongeBob popsicle, but what you got was an abomination. But it was your abomination. Today's Mandela effect has to do with those popsicles, specifically the Dora the Explorer brand characters. So what is it? Well, it seems that many people remember there being a Boots popsicle, the blue, pink, and yellow colored monkey companion to Dora. People remember this, the colors, the taste, the look of it, but apparently it never existed. No one has found anything yet to prove that it actually did exist either. So tell me, do you remember the Boots the Monkey character popsicle? My first thought while looking for this potential Mandela effect was, okay, Boots is a side character, do they make popsicles of side characters? For example, if they make a Batman popsicle, do they make a Robin popsicle? If they don't make side characters, then this could potentially be debunked. What I found was even weirder. They don't make side character popsicles. They only make adjacent main characters, as in other main characters that share the spotlight. Let me explain. Let's take Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The 4 main characters all have had popsicles, but the side characters like April O'Neil, Shredder, Master Splinter, none of them got popsicles made of them. Since all 4 main turtles are technically adjacent, all of them got made into popsicles. So does this mean that all main characters get popsicles? Well, not exactly. Look at Bubbles, one of the 3 main characters in the Powerpuff Girls. The other 2 girls are nowhere to be found. All this to say the rules are starting to form. If you are a side character, you don't get a popsicle. If you are a main character or adjacent to a main character, you can potentially get a popsicle. But it doesn't always happen. These rules that are starting to take shape around character popsicles are fascinating because it works perfectly for and against this Mandela effect. Because Boots fits perfectly into the rules. You could argue that Boots was a side character and that he never had a popsicle. But you could also argue that Boots is technically an adjacent main character, meaning he could have had a popsicle, but might not have. Wherever you fall in this Mandela effect, the apparent rules to popsicle character creation could support either argument, but tons of people remember the Boots character popsicle. Yet as far as we can prove, it doesn't exist today and apparently never did. So what do you think? Are people misremembering? Did the Boots popsicle actually exist? Is this a Mandela effect? Let us all hear your most convincing argument in the comments below. Nintendo Entertainment System. This Mandela effect has caused a ton of controversy and a lot of debate online. I'm talking about the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES, the console that released in America in 1985. As anyone who has ever owned the system knows, when you insert a game cartridge into the system, you have to press the cartridge down into place before pressing the power button. Only after these steps are completed will the game actually play. And if you messed up any of these steps, or if the 72-pin connector inside the device was damaged, you'd instead get an infuriating red blinking light letting you know it wasn't going to work. Now, I've owned 2 NESs in my lifetime. One was a brand new console, purchased from a toy store, and the other was one that I purchased years later on the secondhand market because I wanted to experience some nostalgia. And after hearing all this, you might be wondering, what is the Mandela effect regarding this? Here it is. Apparently, you don't have to press the game cartridges down to play them. And not just that, you never have. When I first heard this, I thought, what? There's no way this is correct. But it seems like it is. The games were apparently playable without pressing them all the way down in the system. And if you've never used an NES before, you have no idea how mind-blowing this actually is. It totally changes the functionality of a device people have used for over 35 years. So I've been digging into this topic for days, and it's been really strange. I've found forum posts from 2008, 2010, 2014, and 2018 of people being confused that their NES systems work without their game cartridges being pushed down all the way. Then on the other side of the internet, I keep finding videos of people saying this is an effect of replacing the 72-pin connector inside the device. But surely this isn't just a case of every single NES console out there having its internals replaced, right? You're talking potentially tens of millions of consoles and all of them have had their internals replaced? I suppose it's a possibility, but I've also found Reddit threads and comments from people claiming that they have their original NES consoles from their childhood that have never had anything replaced and now work without pushing down the game cartridges. Weird mysteries like this are always so fun to pursue and try to solve. Honestly, this whole NES situation has had me scratching my head. If I still had either of my NES consoles from back in the day, I'd check them, but I don't. I had the perfect situation to test them too, one original and one previously owned. It's the best test case possible, but alas. Next up, I found a helpful YouTube guide to getting your NES to work if it isn't. Cleaning it, wiggling the cartridge back and forth, etc. You know all the methods. Then randomly he drops the phrase,
"So if the cartridge didn't work after sliding it back and forth and cleaning the cartridge, go ahead and push down so that it goes up, but don't remove it. Just leave it like that and then hit power." And sure enough, it works in that position as well.
Just leave the cartridge up and turn it on. It works perfectly. This is why we have trust issues. I don't understand how this thing that never worked and has never worked now totally works. I had to go back to the beginning to see if I was really losing my mind. So I looked up an original owner's manual for the Nintendo Entertainment System just to see what it said. Just as I remembered from back then, it says, press down on the game pack until it locks into place and close the chamber lid. There it is, evidence straight from Nintendo that you did indeed have to press the game cartridge down, or game pack as they called it back then, down to get the game to play. Is this just a case of all of these consoles being repaired with aftermarket parts? Has this ability always been there and somehow tens of millions of people just didn't notice? Is it all simply replaced 72-pin connectors that function differently than they should? Malfunctioning hardware across the world? Or has something changed, where you can now play your NES games without pressing down the cartridge? I've seen so much conflicting information on this Mandela Effect, my head is spinning. I don't know what this means for the NES, or for this being a potential Mandela Effect, but what this does mean is that history used to say you had to press it down, and now that always assumed fact is being questioned. So what do you think? If anyone out there is lucky enough to still have their NES, by all means give it a try and let us know how it goes. I'm sure this one will be a fiercely debated topic in the comments. Until next time, never stop searching.